All right, the first few steps of this project, it does not matter what order they go in. So the biggest thing is you're going to be sharing a texture template at your table. So if one person starts with that, the other people can start with a different step. So texture templates, you will feel that one side has a bumpier side, the other one actually pushes up. So you want that bumpier side up. We're going to be using some brown crayons to get the brown texture of a deer. So the texture template goes under your paper. Your brown paper goes on top. We're going to use crayons that don't have wrappers, and we're going to rub, and I find it best to rub just one direction and pick it up. If you go back and forth, your paper's going to move. So this other hand is trying to keep it as flat as possible. If you are skilled, you can go back and forth, but again, I think it's just easier to pick it up so that paper doesn't move. If your paper moves, it's going to look a little blurry. I'm going to shift my paper a little bit to get this edge that I missed. We are going to have to use almost this entire paper, so you really want to make sure you get some texture all over it. All right, so once I've done that, I can pass this texture template to somebody else. Other papers that you're going to be getting. The long white paper is going to be the snow. So I'm just going to kind of cut one edge of this to make it a little bumpy, and that bottom will just get glued on the black paper. The green paper is going to be for trees. You want to try to get 3 different sized trees, and your trees can be as simple as a triangle. So there's one. And I want them different sizes. So I'm going to make this one a little bit shorter, and I might make that one. So I have 3. You have plenty of paper. If you want to make more, you definitely can. That's just up to you. I might have a tiny little one as well. All right, so I've got trees, I've got my background from my snow, and I'm ready for the deer. So with the deer, I'm going to draw most of this in pencil, and I'm actually going to draw on the back side so that I can see and erase better. So for the deer, you need about 4 parts on this paper. You need a half of an oval, which is going to be the back side of the deer. You need a shape that looks like a rounded triangle, or if you want it to come to like more of a, I think of a Superman shape, so that it doesn't have any rounded corners. It could look like that, but you can definitely round these as well. On my example, I have a very just rounded triangle shape, but it can have more points. On this paper, you're going to need a rectangle for the neck. Hopefully you can see these lines on the computer. And then this extra I'm going to save to cut out ears. So I'm just going to trace a cut right on my line. And once you get these things cut out, if you don't like them, you can kind of change them up a little bit. So if I flip this over, it's not the most symmetrical. I might trim a little bit. It's looking better. The neck. And then to get 2 matching ears, I'm going to fold some of these scraps. So I'm just going to cut this off. I'm going to fold this piece in half. And if you want to draw these, you certainly can, or if you just want to cut, the ears are going to have kind of a raindrop or teardrop shape. So it's going to come more to a point and be rounded on one side. So I've got all those pieces. I am not going to glue yet. I am going to actually do some oil crayon work. And I am going to use the back of this black piece of paper to catch my oil crayon messes. So you have a black oil crayon and you have a white oil crayon. I'm going to start with the white oil crayon. I'm going to look at this shape I cut out for the head, and a deer has kind of a whitish part at the tip where the nose is going to be. So I'm going to make that. I am going to make some curved lines on the edges, and that's where the deer's eyes are going to be. And the ears have quite a bit of white in them. It's okay that you're seeing the brown color through them because there is brown and white inside the ears. The neck has like a line of white on the underside, and then the back side does not have any white. Now I'm ready to go back and add the black. So to complete the eyes, I'm going to color in that inside of that line black. I'm going to give the nose kind of an outline as well. And you can decide if you want to make this just a regular deer or if you want to make this Rudolph. So if you want this to be Rudolph, you can find a red oil crayon to color his nose in. I'm just going to stick with the black, and I am going to just color in this part down here, kind of rounded for his nose. If you want to add a line in, you could do that, but I also outlined that whole shape. I'm going to outline the whole back side. I'm going to outline the ears. And if you're not sure what needs to be outlined, you can take a look at the example that's hanging up in the front of the room. You can give the ear a little bit of line inside to kind of show that it curves and it's 3D. So I would also outline the neck. I would outline that white part. I am going to outline this. I'm trying to work fast so you guys have plenty of time to make this collage. The last thing I'm going to add on the back side of this reindeer is a shape for a tail. And it could be as simple as just a rounded shape. If you want to make it look more like a teardrop, that it comes down into a point, you can. And then I would color that as dark as you can. So you will have more time. I'm trying to rush to make sure you have plenty of time. I'm to the point right now where I'm kind of ready to start collaging this together. So I got all my pieces cut out. I'm going to flip this black paper over. The first thing that's going to get glued down is the snow. Next thing is the deer backside. And you can honestly go either direction with this. Does not matter what side of the paper it goes on, but you want to glue it down so it's touching the bottom of the paper. The neck, the white part is going to face down. The underside of the neck has that white. And you can kind of play around with if it's pointing up or if you want your head pointing down. And it could be just a little piece of it showing, or it could be a long neck. And the head is going to come right next to it. The deer is turning around and looking at you. The ears will get glued on the sides. The trees, you want to show some space with the trees. So things in the front are bigger. As they go back in space, they get small. But you would definitely want to make sure that they're all growing from the ground. You don't want any floating up in the nighttime sky. Alright, I did not glue this, but you guys know just a little bit of glue. Craftsmanship is important as you're gluing this together. Antlers. I'm going to fold this black piece in half, or sorry, this brown piece in half. And I'm going to make some antlers, and they could literally just be a point coming up and down. Or if you want to add a couple other points on here, turn it into a big buck, you can. You probably can't see this very well on the video, so I'm just going to cut right on that pencil line that I drew. These could be sharp points, they could be rounded. And the deer antlers curve more in. So as I open them up, I'd want to glue them curving in. Now mine are kind of a little bit too long. They're going off the top of the paper, so I'm going to trim them just down here. Finishing touches could be some black outlines on these antlers, and you could use the white oil crayon to make some snow in the sky. When you're finished, they're going in the drying rack.